6.
Artosis, are you muted?
I'm an idiot. I've been sitting here talking to you guys.
I thought it was my.
And you've been ignoring me.
I was
mostly.
reading the show notes. I'm like, oh, are we not starting yet? I'm like, okay, it's still quiet, even though he said we're starting in 5. So,
Oh my god. Oh my, like literally, I was yelling at you guys. I was like, no, because you started talking about it. I was like, no, what are you doing? No, stop, save it. And you kept talking, and I'm like, what? They just don't even listen to me.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Oh my
The show
god.
starts in 30 seconds.
I can't believe
Keep
I'm
it
literally muted for my own damn show. Welcome back, everyone. It's episode number 112 of the Pylon Show. Welcome back, Up the Tree Zelda. How are you doing after your wonderful performance last week on Pylon Show
it was
Jeopardy?
Great. This is the first time I've ever been on 2 in a row. That's it. This might also be the last Pylon Show I'm ever invited back on. So let's do it.
All right.
I'm ready. I'm
All
ready
right,
to
I
yell
can't-
about Twitch and get upset.
Oh, I can't wait. I tuned into your stream and was like, oh, damn, he's riled up about this subject.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
gotta...
not the right place. That's my natural habitat. Okay, how dare you tell me to stop. Can't do that.
And Nate, you are always you always have some well-formed opinions on things. How are you doing, my friend? Welcome back.
I'm good. I'm excited to be here and talk about some of the more nerdy stuff, I guess. Get into a little bit of the mess outside of just the games.
Yeah. This is kind of an exciting episode, I think, talking about the DMCA and what's going on with all of that. Because, I mean, it seems like the only thing that's being talked about on Twitch right now, to the point where it's already becoming like this meme and stuff. And you know,
it's been a meme for a while now, actually.
Yeah,
it's great. It's good.
Yeah. And before we get started the talk, guys, please do check out patreon.com/ThePylonShow. That's how you can support and, of course, ask questions to our lovely guests, which we'll answer towards the end of the show. Also, we're trying out for a few weeks some different ways to do This Week in StarCraft, so that'll be at the end of the show for this week. We'd love to hear feedback on people, what they like, what they don't like, all that stuff. We're trying to kind of revamp the Pylon Show and just make it even better than it is, which I know people think is impossible, but that's what we try to do. All right. So the DMCA. Okay. First off, what is DMCA? What does this mean?
Do you want to go, Nate, or
you got this one?
No, just a quick definition.
Okay. So a DMCA strike is or a DMCA request or strike or takedown is basically a request by a rights holder to remove content that has their copyrighted material in it. It is, technically speaking, a courtesy. So you may hear like DMCA and think like, oh, you have to take that down. You know, you have like, this is like, you know, this is the furthest that they could do. It's not actually. So it's important to know going into all of this that DMCA is simply an automated request generally because they're very quick. Like, oh, I scanned through your stuff. You seem to have some copyrighted material. This is ours. Take it down. They can just sue you. Like, they can just say, hey, you played our music. We know you have money. We're coming for you. That's going to be $100,000, like, you know, per infringement. And they'll go to court with you. Like, for example, like the biggest streamers just might happen to. So it's important going into this that you know that DMCA is actually a courtesy. Like, the music industry does not have to file them. They do not have to automate them. They could just see that you're playing Rap God and be like, we got him, boys. And they just go after Shroud. It's not a problem for them.
Yeah. It's from 1998.
Yes.
That was when this law was
Peak
made
internet.
because like the Digital Millennium Copyright Act is what it stands for, and it was basically just like, hey, the internet's becoming a thing. Like I mean, I guess at that point I was 5, so I don't know too much about the internet in 1998, but the general premise of it is basically designed and built to prevent people from using the intellectual property of other companies and like profiting off of them and that sort of thing. It kind of lives in like a similar vein to like copyright stuff with like, oh, don't pirate, you know, movies. This is don't share stuff that isn't yours.
You wouldn't download a car, would you, Nate?
If I could, I might.
Do you remember that ad? In the movie
at the start of
theater,
every
there's, like,
DVD.
oh.
It's at the start of every DVD as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody gets into a car, you wouldn't download a car. Like, yeah, actually,
With a
probably
3D
would.
printer?
Yeah,
Fuck
if you
yeah.
had
Now
a
you
3D
could.
printer,
Download that
let's
so
go.
quick? You kidding me? Okay. So that's an explanation of what the DMCA is. Now, the very first DMCAs to hit Twitch happened over the summer.
Yes.
Remember this,
Well,
right? So
so
Yeah, go ahead.
before that, there
Mhm.
was they were talking about how they would get 50 DMCA requests a year.
Mhm.
So basically, before the summer of 2020, the music industry would levy DMCA requests at the rate of like one DMCA request for all of Twitch a week, pretty much. And
Mhm.
this was true to the entirety of like Twitch's history. But in the summer of 2020, I think it was in June.
Yeah.
So they
Think so.
were because we think the internet seems like the problem with doing the show now is it's been a couple weeks, so there's been a lot of changes. Like the situation's
Mhm.
changed a lot. There's been a lot of articles. It's hard to like keep your head straight about all the stuff that's happened. But I kind of remember that time. It was in June, I think, and I was like sitting outside, and then I saw one tweet, and it was like, I just received a DMCA request about blah 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 song and blah 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 clip, and I was like from like 2017, and then I saw another tweet, and I was like, oh shit, and I didn't even read anything. I just started deleting clips. Like I ran to my computer, and I was like, I just started like hammering them. I deleted thousands of clips that day. But yeah, so it was one particular day. I can't remember someone in chat might have it. But they basically went through, there was a section of time when Twitch was not applying Audible Magic, their software that they used to check for copyright, to clips. That was like 2017 to 2016 to 2018, somewhere in that range. And they so all these clips were there with copyrighted music, you know? Someone would be playing like a game, screaming at their mom, and then Eminem be playing in the background. Oh, you're DMCA'd now. Like this is our song. People are definitely gonna watch this clip for the Eminem track in the background. You gotta take that down. It's not okay. And they went through everybody. Like they tore through. They must have saved them up. They hit so many people that day. It's actually insane. Twitch had to pause the DMCA request. They had to literally say, like, you can't file anymore. We have to give people a chance to catch up.
Mm. Now,
That's how messed up that was. It was really bad. They weren't expecting it either. Twitch had no idea. Because Twitch doesn't have to help them. That's another key factor as well in the whole thing.
why doesn't Twitch have to help them? It seems like they could get sued. They're making money off of this as well.
Okay, do you want to keep going, or Nate? Do you got this one? I don't want to hog the floor. And be good denizen of the show.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of different ways that it works, right? So, internet websites that people host content on are actually protected by the Digital Millennium Copyright Act from lawsuits for content that they upload, as long as the website that is allowing users to upload content to it, so like Twitch or YouTube, as long as they are acting in good faith towards the requests of people whose content would be stolen, right? Like in a DMCA sense. So if Twitch literally does nothing and doesn't respond to them at all, they could sue Twitch, because Twitch would be acting in bad faith, and they would open themselves to legal, recourse. But because it goes on to the creators, that the DMCA system in place, like if you've heard of like YouTube's 3 strike system, it technically isn't required. There's not a rule set that says 3 strikes and you're out. Theoretically, a DMCA request could come in for anything, and they could just ban you and then figure it out later, or not figure it out later and say, good luck, trying to sue us. So that's like a whole big part of what comes into this, because as Sal was saying, they implemented a system to mute music that they detected on VODs, because VODs are easily accessible. You can click to VODs pretty easily from anybody's stream. Clicking to somebody's clips, generally a little bit more difficult. That was their flashy thing that people would post on Twitter. You don't want to mute those, right? There was a reason to have that going out. So those ended up being the big target point for a lot of these, because they became more exposed and more visible as they built the system out to navigate clips on Twitch. And yeah, a huge part of this mess has to do with that, because Twitch is not legally required to build a system that facilitates dealing with this type of stuff. They
Yeah.
just never did. So nothing exists in any way for a user to be like, oh, what content do I have that's been flagged, but not DMCA requested? Like, you can't do that on Twitch. Nothing exists for you to be able to specifically see that if you're worried about this type of thing. There's no built-in system for like refuting claims or putting in like proof that you have licenses for things. So one of the big reasons why this mess blew up so quickly is because there's not really a lot of information, even for people who are broadcasting. I received an email over the summer where they're like, hey, we detected that you had this thing and we just got a bunch of DMCA requests in. We've deleted it for you, so we don't have to tell you what it was, which obviously is the most ambiguous, least possible amount of information that you could ever give to somebody, because I've...
you did something wrong. We're not telling you what it is. It disappeared.
Yeah. So that's a whole can of worms on its own. But the other thing, like Sal was saying, is that people it's probably something older, because like I know that I've been playing like a lot of stuff that either isn't on that or like not big label type music, but a lot of what people have that's getting hit is older stuff. But if like you don't even know if you got hit over the summer. And they're like, oh, we deleted it for you. There's no possible way for you to know anything at all about what it was, how recent it was, anything at all.
So that thing that he's talking about, where basically the DMCA like rule, how they actually protect Twitch, is it's called safe harbor. So basically, you can be a platform or a publisher. And if you're a platform, you're protected by safe harbor, which means that you as a platform are not responsible for the content on your platform. So like the reason that people could say like stupid, racist, hateful shit and they get in trouble and not you as like Twitch, the platform, is because you're protected by this. It gives platforms the ability to build out their platform and manage the tools and stuff without having to worry about the content that goes on it. If they ever lose that safe harbor status, they become a publisher, which means they're now responsible for absolutely everything that is said or done on their platform, which means that they basically will cease to exist because they'll get hit with lawsuits for everything that could ever be sued, because there are so many angles to do so.
Yes.
That's if a platform that loses, I don't think there's ever been a platform to lose safe harbor and survive. To my knowledge, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm a little bit confused here, right? So the first set of strikes from DMCA happened in June.
Yep.
And then it felt like it was very quiet for a while. Right?
Yeah, because they paused it. So they wanted to give.
Oh, that's why, because it was an actual pause. Because I was like, they just
got
stopped
like
and then
DDoS.
start again. Did everyone get good for a few months and then bad again?
No.
Just think of it like a DDoS. The system was so overwhelmed, they literally had to bring it down so that they could go through what had came in.
Well, it's not just that. Like, there's also this other thing that kind of happened here where Twitch had to decide like what they were gonna say to streamers. Like, you guys have all these clips. What are you guys gonna do about it? Because this is my analogy, and I've been working on it a little bit in my head coming into this. Twitch is kind of like a used car shop where like every car is stolen. Like and now you think like, okay, so the used car guy who owns the shop doesn't need to ask where you got the car, and if the cops come, they'll take the car and you won't get in trouble. So you're fine, right? And I guess that's okay if it's one car out of 100. They take the car, another car comes in, you're good. But it's a problem when every single car gets taken all at once, and you're just a guy with a shop and no cars. Like, and that's Twitch's problem here, which is that Twitch is built on copyright infringement. Like, we're actually in a rare place. Blizzard has said, as long as you're not pay, like, as long as people don't have to pay to see your content, like paid subscription stuff, like they don't have to pay to see it, you can broadcast our game. That's actually rare. The vast majority of games are not. They're violating copyright by streaming them. It's just that the copyright holders don't go after you. Like, that's the only thing preventing them from actually just DMCAing you right then and there. right? So
Mm.
the Twitch had to kind of decide, like, okay, so what's our play here? Like, what do we tell people to do? And their actual response at the time, which a lot of people I know and a lot of people on the internet told me that I was like, oh, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Their response was delete all your clips, delete everything.
Mm.
They said that, and of course, I was like, well, I mean, I just used my brain. I was like, okay, so if they manage to go through all these clips, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it like forever, and you get 3 strikes and you're dead. And there's no way to interpret that for Twitch because at the time they weren't even talking about it. It's an optional thing. The number of strikes you have to get and how long that they last is optional. It's not. It's Twitch's decision. The law doesn't actually say how long these strikes need to stay on. Twitch chooses. So not only did they choose then not to change the strike length, they actively still haven't changed it.
What is the strike length?
3. There's indefinite.
Oh wait, no, you mean like you get 3 strikes and you're out?
3 strikes and you're fucking
That's Twitch's position, yes. And
But
the
Twitch's
strikes don't
current position-
expire.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
every single person that's gotten a strike
Yes.
get 3 strikes instantly? Because
Bye-bye.
you're playing more than one song.
Welcome to the last couple of
Welcome
weeks.
to the
buddy.
reality of the situation, Artosis.
Yeah.
And there's no way for you to tell the system. For example, here's a really good example. Let's say you put your phone next to a blender and hit Shazam. Do you know what comes up? A Skrillex song. That's real. So let's say,
amazing.
okay, you're playing StarCraft 2 and your Marine shooting sounds like a fucking Skrillex song. And there's no way for you to tell Twitch, hey, guys, I'm playing StarCraft. Skrillex is all over this bitch. Like, there's no way to say that. So what's going to happen is that you're going to get DMCA'd every time your Marine fires. Okay? And then you're going to get banned. Of course, you can fight the DMCA request and you'll win because, obviously, a Marine is not Skrillex and you're okay. But there's been I've been following the partner Discord. People have been banned for 13 days without a response.
So people have been banned for DMCA then?
100%.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
happening quickly. Some
And I
big
actually know
people
this.
as well.
Like
I'm gonna blow
who?
your
How
mind.
big has been banned for it?
I've heard that I think
Voyboy got banned.
Voyboy, right? And some people have the power to come back from the dead. Obviously, if you're that big, from what I've heard, he's back. I know Summit got into something with that as well.
Yeah,
His
he has
name
3
came up.
strikes.
Yeah, and he's not banned because obviously,
Yeah, he's not banned.
So there are people who still exist above the system, but there's a lot of smaller people that probably don't immediately get the same notoriety for being banned that are getting cold or whatever, reaped, whatever the word is, just bringing the scythe over the hay.
I'll tangent one last thing. Actually, I was gonna, but then Artosis started talking. I was like, oh shit, and then I forgot. Keep going. You're up.
But okay,
I
I'm
totally
just
forgot.
here's what I'm confused about. Anyone who plays music on their stream is playing music. So it's more than one song. So if you get any strikes, you have 3 strikes. Because you'll have 3 songs on there, right?
Well, I mean, it also depends because one of the other things is we have not reached YouTube level of you play it and you're gonna get insta smacked.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, anybody who's ever tried to upload on YouTube that forgot to not put a song, you're gonna have the notification that, hey, we found this in your video and we're gonna do this so that you don't get DMCA'd.
Yeah.
So sometimes they'll take a cut of the money that you're gonna make from it, etc.
Right.
A lot of people have heard about that. Those systems are not quite as precise yet, right? I don't think has anyone had a live takedown without having VODs up yet?
Not yet. The technology's there, but we have to actually rewind to really understand how big Twitch's fuck up is here. How badly did they really drop the ball? We got to pull it back because in 2014, YouTube was being sued by Viacom. Okay. And part of the only reason YouTube is still alive today is that they struck a deal with the music industry where they would build out this massive multi-million-dollar content ID system to basically take the money from content infringement and put it in the rights holders' pockets. That's why if you play a song and it gets content ID'd on YouTube, okay, that money, all of it, if I have a 4-hour video and 10 seconds belongs to Eminem, all of that money goes to Eminem. It's genius implementation, truly, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, it was built
So-
by the people with the
Well-
money and the power, Sal.
Right, correct. So they struck this deal because they realized, like, oh shit, we won't survive. Like, they will sue us into oblivion, and we won't make it. So
But
they struck
wait,
this deal.
do they not have safe harbor? Or
They
am I
do.
confusing these
They have
topics?
safe harbor because they built Content ID.
Yeah.
They
Imagine
settled.
Imagine if you had to hire enough individual specific people to manually look over and review every single possible instance of having that clip. I mean, I don't even think they would, whatever money they do make, they wouldn't be making any money if they hired, however many people they would need to do that, which is a part of the problem because automated systems have a whole lot of flaws,
Mhm.
Right.
Totally.
like the Marine gun sound.
Yeah. So, and it's important to bring this up because when that happened, like, I for one took a principled stance not to upload to YouTube because the original Content ID system was brutal. Like, people were claiming shit that they had no right to claim all the time. It took a long time for them to get it right, and I didn't like how they were doing it. And I'm that kind of person. Like, if you're screwing over all your creators, like, I don't want to support that. And I thought, Twitch, they're better than that, right? Yeah. I regret taking that stance more than I've regretted anything in the last like 6 years that I've done, because Twitch literally, like, my analogy for this is that a glacier, because Viacom started that lawsuit in 2007. They watched a glacier like nearly run over YouTube and they laughed. And now that glacier is on their doorstep and they're like, how did it get here?
Who could have
It was-
possibly predicted this happening?
I couldn't possibly have guessed. I couldn't see it coming. What are we supposed to do? And the glacier's about to run them over, like at the rate of 1 foot a year. But it's gonna show up, right? The music industry always gets its man 100% of the time, and they should have known. That's the thing. Like, you can only play this. Oh, the creators should know better. Don't play the music. You can only play that bullshit for so long before all the creators look at you and they're like, "Dude, they solved it 6 years ago. The fuck were you guys doing?"
But
Like,
doesn't Twitch then have to build out like the same system
you'd think.
as?
Yes.
But if that's how YouTube got safe harbor, how would Twitch have safe harbor without doing the same thing?
Well, because they haven't been sued yet. The music industry didn't know.
And the thing is, they have for the as far as the safe harbor thing goes, the important thing to keep in mind is it's about bad faith towards the people that are filing these claims. Right. So all they have to do right now, while they have nothing in place to actually deal with this situation, as long as they just ban everybody that gets 3 requests, as long as they just ban all of them, then the music industry can't argue that they're acting in bad faith. Because, like, okay, yeah, you're banning these people and deleting their stuff, which leads to, as I was saying, there are still manpower issues because they don't have an automated system, and there are a lot of claims coming in. So the situation ends up being that while Twitch will publicly say, yeah, we're working on the false claim stuff and all that, especially we're getting people in banned, there's a lot of people that end up getting left behind. They don't have their stuff reviewed as quickly as other people, they're not the higher tier of partners, right? And it leaves everybody else who hasn't been hit yet with a lot of fear, because I went through and deleted every single clip that I had. I also downloaded and backed them up just in case, right? If there was ever any other way I could use some of them. But like, if there's something that's in a system backend, because some of the stuff that they were finding was also deleted by partners.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
And that's a whole different part of this. So now everybody just has like this fear that at any moment, something that you think you may have already dealt with could just blow up in your face. And because there are so many people being hit by this simultaneously, even if you have a completely rock solid case and you know for a fact that when reviewed, you'd be unbanned, you did everything by the book, you followed whatever rules they said, It may still take you a couple weeks because there's still COVID going on. There's still the massive issues with Twitch and their whole ad system, which was a big enough problem before this happened. But then adding DMCA on top of that, because it's not just trying to deal with all the streamers, it's that the more takedowns and notifications and whatnot are going to keep coming in, and there isn't a system to process it. So people are just left hanging for individual other humans to come help them. And I would be very surprised if Twitch had several thousand people working specifically to help people with DMCA requests right now.
You want a fun fact? I don't know if you know this, but on Twitter, the guy who developed Twitch support, which is the system that they use for handling DMCAs, he was saying that they haven't updated it since Justin TV. So like the system,
well, that's why we only got
use,
66,000 bit rate too, Sal.
So think about it. Like they the way that DMCA requests work is that they literally have to give access to companies who want to file them. Like that's how their system works. So like you and I can't file a DMCA request, I don't think. Like we have to be permitted as companies to do it. So like now the floodgates are going to open because like this is why they should have struck a deal. They should have struck a deal because people make their money on like YouTube Reacts shit. Everybody with a copyright is going to come for their content now. Like it's going to happen. When you open a YouTube video and you watch it on stream, do you think that the person who owns that YouTube video can't come and DMCA your shit? He can. They just didn't. Like, they're going to open the floodgates to this problem where, like, you want to play Grand Theft Auto? Forget it. You want to play Guitar Hero? Can't do it. You want to play Beat Saber? Not allowed because everyone's coming for their copyrighted material. And now you got a whole other layer. Like, what about YouTube videos? What about Reacts? What about people using emotes they don't own the licensing for? Got a Pokemon emote? Literally everyone does. You don't own the copyright to Pokemon. Like, you know, want to know, like, I guess Overwatch and StarCraft are fine to like Carbot and stuff, but you know, there are all sorts of assets people are using too. They don't own the rights to. This is why the thing that drives me the most insane about this entire thing early on, specifically before the second wave of stuff, was Twitch's throw the hands in the air. It's their problem, not ours. And I'm like, do you guys watch your fucking platform? Because when I look around, all I see are people fucking stealing shit like they own it. And it's everybody. Like, what are you trying to say? That it's not your problem? Like, you have people to pay, don't you? Like, and it's off the back of creators, no? Like, I'm just kidding.
And this is the can of worms gets really fucking ugly once you get to this point, because, you know, just in my own experience, I once saw a streamer on the front page of Twitch, big streamer, several thousand viewers, watching anime, right? And I'm like, oh, is this person sponsored by, like, oh, they sponsor a Crunchyroll? Do they have like a deal with them? That's so cool. I would love to boot up this show that I'm watching, right? If this service is working with streamers. And I look at me like, oh no, she's just doing it. And I messaged someone who's staff at Twitch at the time, and I'm just curious. I'm like, what do you guys do about this? Like, she's a huge streamer, just literally watching TV. And they're like, well, we don't have to do anything if a DMCA request doesn't come in. And I'm like, so you just don't give a shit, like, at all. As long as the specific holder of this anime doesn't come after them, your stance is we just don't give a single shit at all. And that's another part of this, because Twitch tries to push this off as streamers not knowing what to do. But Twitch at no point, literally ever before this, has taken a hard stance and been like, guys, if we see that you're doing something that we think you're going to get in trouble for, or you could get us in trouble for, we're going to try to actively discourage that. And I'm using the most milquetoast language here, because what I'm saying is they would not do even the most absolute bare minimum of saying, don't do that. The only thing is, like, maybe once every 3 years, DJ Weed or someone will tweet and be like, hey guys, don't forget, the music industry will come kill all of us one day. Don't listen to music that you don't own. And then, you know, Slasher will retweet him, and then a bunch of people will be like, oh my God, is this going to happen? And everyone's like, well, no. So, just keep going on and doing that. And, you know, their official stance is, we're not going to do anything at all until someone DMCAs you. So we're not going to tell you what you can't do in the meantime.
So it's kind of important keep in mind here that not only does Twitch not have to do anything, but they're kind of better off not doing anything, because if they do something, now they're taking responsibility for that content. They're saying, "Oh, that's content that belongs to the right holder over there." That means we know that it's happening and we're letting it happen, right? Like,
Yes.
if it's happening, it's like, "Oh, we acknowledge that it's occurring." So the real issue here is that they should have built tools
They did
to
nothing.
help us. Like,
Yes.
they should have been like, "Oh, so we see that the problem here is that bots are going through all your content and they're using the public content that's available, and they're just interpreting it with a bot and deciding whether or not you have this material. How about this really novel idea of just privating the VODs so that the bots can't see them, but they're there still?" What a I've never heard of any platform having a private feature for pre-recorded content. Have you guys? No,
It's never
I haven't.
happened. The
Never
technology isn't
happened.
there.
It's not there. It's not
But
there.
hold on though, even if you privated it, like you
No, the
said,
bots
and
can't.
I've read
Yeah.
this, that if you delete stuff, it's still on their
Ah,
servers and can still
yeah.
be checked. So wouldn't
Okay.
everything still be able to be checked? Like
Well,
everything
so
still exists, you can't delete
in
anything?
in theory, that shouldn't be a thing. So basically, what's happening is that they store deleted content on a public server, and they didn't think that anyone would try and brute force the names of these files. So literally, you can, if you know the stream ID, there's a literal number associated to every stream that's ever happened, and off of that number is every clip that came off of it, and every highlight that came off of it. So it's easy to keep track of it. And I assume that they built this system so that if someone is banned, that they have evidence of why this person was banned, but they kept it public. That's a different problem, because assuming the Twitch devs were like not like ridiculously crazy and that they did their job right, then you could private your VODs and then the bots couldn't find them. Like, that's so you had time to save them. But I think what ended up happening here is that the music industry was like dropped the hammer, right? Like, just dropped the hammer and issued 1 billion DMCA requests, right? And then they were like, "Shit, if we make a privatized feature, it's going to look like we're hiding it. Like, we're letting
Mm.
people keep the content here, right? And we're enabling them. So it's better to say that you have to delete this, right?" And this is a hard pill to swallow. Like, this is one of those ones that's really hard to convey to viewers, and not because I think viewers are like dumb or anything. I think viewers are actually quite intelligent. Okay, I engage in conversations all the time. I love you guys, but it's hard to explain to people how 6 years of your life and all you've worked for exists on a website in VODs, and now all of that is fucking gone. Like, every stream I've ever done is gone. Like, my entire legacy is gone, right? Unless I was uploading to YouTube, every single minute of work I've done that used to be there is now completely gone. It's vacant. It's a vacant slot. Fortunately, I started saving VODs to file like a year and a half ago, so it's not that bad for me. But I know a lot of people, dude. A lot of people whose entire histories, everything that they've ever worked for, even if it was so much as one of their alerts had copyrighted like 3 seconds of copyrighted material. They weren't even violating copyright all the time. Technically speaking, if you have like less than a certain number of seconds of copyrighted material, you're within fair use. Like,
Yeah.
and but they can't risk it. They literally can't risk it. Like, the idea that you would be banned over and over and over again for this content, deprived of a job and unable to pay your fucking bills, is too big. Like, you just have to remove it instead.
And that's another huge part of it, because Twitch's argument and what they've told people to do is like literally just turn off all sounds. Like, you're gonna stream a video game, don't play any music at all. Don't play any music.
actually said
Turn off the game sounds. They're like, don't just check. their official recommendation is to read the end user license agreement for every game that you play.
You guys don't read those before you play a game?
And make sure to check whether they say the sound effects. That's right, because companies license those out actually. Lots of things like weapon sound effects. You play games with guns in them. Those get used in a whole lot of different things that could also send a DMCA claim up your ass. And so, I mean, you guys are probably seeing me talking about like memes, right? There are people who are meme streaming right now where they just have their microphone on and are making sound effects and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And Twitch's angle is, and their side is like, well, 6 years is for you to learn that you just shouldn't have been stealing other people's stuff that whole time. But, not taking into consideration that light usage of certain things, which would not violate people's copyright, right? If you're using even just 2 seconds of something in a certain way is not always going to be in violation of DMCA. There is fair use for certain types of things that allows a lot of different fair use allows a ton of shit to exist that simply could not without it. But the fact that an automated system is going to flag 4 years ago, 2 seconds of, I don't know, a black and yellow, and you're like, well, all I did was, had a little funny celebration when I won a game that went like 5 seconds. And you're like, is this really like super stepping on the guy's copyright? Could you argue that this wasn't you playing the dude's whole song? Of course you could. But that's for you to have a conversation maybe with someone about in 2 weeks because you're banned. And that's Jesus. Where, or they're just telling you to literally delete all your shit because even if you weren't listening to full songs, some few things like that or missed things get marked anyway.
There was a guy on Devin Nash, Dan, who literally, he's an IRL streamer, and he got DMCA'd for like a 50 Cent song because he walked by the club.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Are you fucking telling me people watch that VOD to hear 50 Cent?
No, of course. I mean, that's insane.
Of course not, right? Like, but that's the thing is that, like, if you're an IRL streamer, how can you argue that you not to delete everything you've done? There is no way you haven't gone to a coffee shop. You sit down at a coffee shop, you were literally banned. Bye now. What are you going to do? Mute the mic? Like, that's the point of being there. Like at what point? Like, where's the line, man? Because they literally tweeted. I was streaming when they tweeted that. They were like, just consider muting the game audio. I was like, do you guys work here? Like, does this Twitch support staff where they have they ever watched the stream?
That seems like, incredibly out of
tone deaf.
Like it feels like, I like to just apply the straight face test to everything. And like, for instance, when I first heard about DMCA and people were getting DMCA'd for playing like Rihanna songs or whatever, I'm like, yeah, I understand. That makes sense. It makes sense to me. I'm like, I try not to play any. It's been at least like I guess a year since I played anything that's like copyright, because it just kind of occurred to me that like, oh yeah, like that could happen, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just
that's why
that could be scary.
Yeah.
But when I hear something like, oh, these sound effects, or like Twitch saying turn off game sounds, like I could see something like Grand Theft Auto having a terrible time because they've just got all sorts of great music, or Tony Hawk Pro Skater, right? Like these are games that have like real soundtracks on them.
Do you want to know?
When it's like you should just mute your games, I just don't even get it. It's like
that it's a rabbit hole. That's the problem.
If I was a judge and that came to me, I'd be like, why the fuck did you bring this to me? You're wasting time.
Well, this is another excellent point that we don't have to necessarily go deep on, but Dan, great point. None of those people know shit about anything related to this industry or any of us or what we do, and that's why they side with if it's going to come down to it, right? Generally, they're going to side with the guys that have enough money to make the case put you bankrupt if you're going to try to fight against the RIAA as a streamer. Yeah. Good luck. Yeah.
So, Dan, imagine the situation. You're playing PUBG, okay? You're squadding up as a streamer, okay? And you've been stream sniped. And I run by you, and through my microphone, I play copyrighted music, and I get you banned. Like, you think to yourself
that's insane,
that the game that you play is safe. Listen
Oh
up.
my
If there are
god.
other people in it, you are not safe.
Oh my
Like,
god, yeah. You
there's
could
so
inject that into someone else's stream. They
dude,
wouldn't even be able to
there
help
were
you in
so
certain games.
many people on Twitter and in the partner Discord with their fucking heads so far up their ass. Where they're like, just stop playing copyrighted music. What's the worst that could happen to you? You know? Like, these are people who stream. And I'm like, do you guys realize that stream snipers will literally ruin you? Like,
Yeah,
do you realize that like
yeah.
there are people with like 10,000 viewers right now whose livelihoods have just been destroyed because Twitch couldn't figure copyright out in the 6 years that they had to stare it in the face? Like, yes, everyone's gonna be mad.
Yeah.
Like, stop being like, well, just don't play Drake. You know? It's like it's
Yeah.
so ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not about that.
And people are very rightly upset because the only thing that you're going to hear from Twitch on any of this is turn everything off, be a good boy, don't ever break the law again.
Yeah.
You guys need to educate yourselves because you're all children who certainly don't have any idea how anything in the real world works. We've been good boys this whole entire time by not preparing for this literally at all so that we can save a couple of extra bucks to do God knows what with. Put people in a yacht or some shit for BlitzCon.
So
Who
we
knows?
can make celebrations, bro. So you can have some confetti on your stream, and we take 50% of the cut. Woohoo!
Yeah. Like, it seems that Twitch letting everything kind of go on chaotically would definitely help with the growth of the platform, right? While they can get away with it, just letting people create whatever they want. Obviously, that's the greatest way towards growth.
The
and
problem
now it
is
feels.
that
The thing is, if a streamer, let's say a streamer gets banned, right? Like, let's say a streamer gets banned for DMCA. It's like, well, Twitch took probably 90% of your ad revenue that you made money on, and
more.
at least like 50% of your sub revenue or whatever, and some percentage of bit revenue. So you look at all those revenues that Twitch profited from. It feels like that's a pretty one-sided relationship. Twitch got growth as well as all those percentages, but then a streamer is getting banned. So what's actually
They'll have a hard
happening to
time
Twitch
arguing that they didn't profit off of it for sure.
Well, they did.
Oh, they definitely did.
Yeah, there's not even a question. They profited a lot. Like, I mean, they have a multi-billion-dollar company because it grew through this chaos of content creation.
But I mean, all of this said, so we can probably keep going. There's probably still more that I missed, but it is important to note that they did have a blog post that was sort of useful. I'd say like 10% useful. That came out like 2 weeks ago, Nate, probably. They detailed some things that were kind of important, and they also left some stuff out that's also kind of important. But do you have any more questions about the main stuff that happened before?
Keep going. I'm
moving?
learning a lot here, and I'm getting shocked.
Yeah.
This is my Artosis reacts to DMCA video right here.
Basically, we're at where we were. Like, you could be DMCA'd for pretty. Oh, so before this blog post. Okay, before this blog post, and the second round of clips came out, it took me about a week to realize, like, okay, so streamers are about to have two fundamental problems. One, you can you can't play music that you like, right? You can't have this. And even if you did have the rights to a song, there's no way to tell the system that you do have them. So you're just going to get DMCA'd.
Mm-hmm.
The second problem, and this is the problem I think a lot of people are going to have in maybe 6 months to a year, is that everybody is doing exactly the same thing. They're starting in silence, and then they're like, I'll use Epidemic Sound or Pretzel Rocks or Twitch soundtrack. And everybody's stream is going to sound exactly the fucking same.
Yep.
No matter where you go on this fucking website, you're going to hear the same set of songs. It's literally going to be a soundtrack to the entire platform. You will not be able to escape the shitty dubstep. You will not be able to escape the lo-fi.
Sounds like esports.
It's everywhere. So what I did was I'm deciding to take. I'm basically doing what Devin Nash is called treating Twitch like an Airbnb. So my VODs are disabled. My clips are disabled. My VODs are sub only, and then deleted within a week. And I asked for permission from every single artist and label whose music I was listening to before. Of those 140 artists or so I reached out to, 50% of them had either given me direct permission through DM or email, and or posted online that everyone is free to use their stuff. This is why I didn't get a DMCA strike in the first place. But this is the last thing I'll add from the old stuff. The reason that I never got struck is because when they were doing the DMCA takedowns for those clips, I thought to myself, I thought like a programmer, and I was like, how are they figuring it out? Because like, what are they doing? And I was like, so they must be going through your clips like just with a script or whatever. And I was like, if they don't have a sub to my channel, they can't see my clips or my VODs, right? If I delete all the clips, they can't see my sub-only VODs. So for the time being, you're safe. The API can't let you past it, because if it did, then that would be a violation of the whole system. Anyone could see it because Twitch doesn't have to give them permission. So sub-only VODs protects you from DMCA. It's why so many people moved on to sub-only VODs, because you're safe for now till live DMCA start.
Okay.
So I built this big list of about, I think now I'm at 1,800 songs where all the artists either own the rights to the music themselves, because I listen to instrumental only, and that's kind of helped me. The artists either own the tracks themselves, or I got permission from the artist and the label. So, but I can still be DMCA'd if it happens live. Like, my VODs are still getting muted for, I think, Bureaucratic, who gave permission publicly. And I think that's very important, because you need, as a streamer, you have to decide, am I going to sound like everyone else? Am I going to sit in silence? Or am I going to try and retain some form of identity? And that was the take that I did. Like, I went out and reached out to every single one of them. Right? Oh my God, really? Nate? Oh, this tweet is legendary.
Yeah, I just found that. I clicked on it. Yeah, the link is legit. Yeah.
Nintendo updated usage guidelines for Animal Crossing. Consider yourself warned, creator. You are not allowed to obtain any financial benefit from using the game, including selling your custom design or earning any advertising revenue with the game content.
What? There's fucking Animal Crossing is gigantic.
One of the other things that I was going to bring up is, so Artosis, the rabbit hole, right? You know, we're all crazy paranoid people who are worried about other companies deciding that they're going to be a little bit more strict about who's allowed to use their stuff, because we've just been very lucky with video game developers for the most part. But that's stuff. Yeah, I literally just saw this, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to post this in the group, because I felt this was somewhat relevant. This is like a serious, you know, that's stuff like this ends up being big.
But that's okay, Nate. You can stream it on Twitch, because Twitch doesn't pay out its creators for ad revenue.
That's true. You don't earn money off of ads when you stream on Twitch. So I guess technically it's a loophole.
You don't? I think I earn money on ads.
Like, you guys, $5?
Yeah, like $5. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. 1,000 viewers, $5. Yeah, I think I don't think I'm legally.
That's nice.
I don't think I'm required to report the half a penny they give me, since they don't make them.
It's great.
Wow.
Yeah. So stuff like that is terrifying, right? Because the next, and you know, like, obviously not trying to fearmonger, but this kind of leads to a good point that people need to be concerned about this, because at some point, you know, a game company may decide for whatever reason that they either only want to be on, oh, hey, we have a partnership with these guys, and now you're not going to be able to do our stuff there, right? Or you're worried that, you know, actually Atlas ran into this when they released Persona 5 a few years ago, and they were like, guys, we don't want anybody streaming the game past a certain point, or we will issue DMCA takedowns, because we don't want spoilers for the game to be available online. And I don't think that they got a lot of public backlash for that, and I don't think they actually ended up DMCAing anybody on Twitch. No, I didn't hear about anything on Twitch. But that's, you know, this is the kind of thing that it really sucks, because I am about to say this, but people do need to make sure that they know what they could get hit by, because as awful as the DMCA is, as outdated and garbage as this law is,
the music industry either way.
The music industry will never, ever, 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 ever change their stance on whether they would allow people playing video games to have their songs on in the background. The big labels are not going to budge on this. So the only thing that can happen is, hopefully, some point within a year, I don't know, I'd be surprised if they did it that fast, Twitch eventually implements a system that at least allows people to kind of fight their way through it without having to wait on hold with customer support, or That's a funny joke. Without trying to see if the guy they DM'd ever DMs them back when they've got 1,000 other DMs in their Twitter inbox, because that's how this industry really works. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, it really is awful, because a lot of the content is super transformative. People's streams are not all. I don't watch any streams that I would ever think to myself, yeah, I only tune in here because I know I can listen to this music. Right? Like maybe you have a genre preference that somebody has, but at the end of the day, like there's like a battle for a different time. But until we get to that point where the law itself can actually be changed, people should be fucking terrified, because you don't, even if you think that you've fixed it, there's still a possibility that you're excited about this game. Like this new Call of Duty game came out and someone's like, oh, you want to stream the campaign? It's 80s. Enjoy yourself. Getting slapped by every single 80s popular band that exists, because obviously video games use that type of music. Grand Theft Auto, another big example. And I think someone sent me like Cyberpunk, like kind of came out to say that they had all their stuff made for the game and that game should be safe. But now game companies have to think about that, right? Like, do you want to have the potential exposure of blowing up on Twitch? Well, people aren't going to be interested in your game if you have put a bunch of copyrighted music that's going to get their channels deleted in it. So, like how far do we have to go to get to the point where people are even going to be able to do this anymore, right? That's a real big concern for the industry, and it is huge in part to do with, like, this is all super new stuff. There's no case law that exists around someone defending themselves for playing music on a stream. A judge has never ruled that if it's not over a certain amount of volume that it's okay. You can't have it quietly in the background either. That's like anything, almost anything that you're broadcasting, because unless you're literally making it and it's an original idea that doesn't have to be a ripoff. If it resembles something else, they could try to DMCA you for that. That it's turned Twitch into a giant minefield for streamers and an ad field for viewers.
Oh, dude, don't start me on ads. I can only get mad at one.
Sorry. I had to
give us a month and then we'll come back for ads, okay?
I had to yin and yang it. I'm sorry, Sal. I love you.
No, it's okay. All right, listen, my heart rate just spiked up to like 190.
Okay.
I started sweating.
Don't do that Pylon show, Dan. We need Sal alive.
Okay, it's okay. we'll save on that one. This is kind of crazy. Like,
yeah. So do we want to get to where we are? Actually, somebody asked in chat, can a musician get DMCA'd for playing their own music? Yes.
Yeah. Didn't the Dragon Force
guitarist be able to overtune it, but 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. The was one of the guitarists from Dragon Force was playing his own song on a guitar, and his channel got banned.
The theory was he got DMCA'd, but I also think he did something like show his bare ass or something. I don't know. I don't remember what he did exactly.
Okay, well, I didn't hear about that part, but
I think there have.
Don't show your ass on stream either, guys.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I can't remember, but it was an argument in the partner Discord. But
the people that have gotten banned so far, is it like a week ban? Is it a perma ban? What is it exactly? Do we know? Is it different per person? Is it like, is there a way back for people? Because I'm sure there's people right now that are like, oh, I've played so much music on my stream, I'm fucked. Like eventually.
Before we get into what happens with strikes now, because this actually isn't public knowledge, to my understanding, I actually know through a source. I don't want to rat him out, but I do know how it works. Like,
okay,
I do know how it works. So, but before we do that, we should get to let's try and keep it in order so that people watching
keep me on track
where we're at now. Like what we're kind of at now, and what happened with that blog post that we were talking about. So Twitch came out and was basically like, yeah, all right, we fucked up a little bit, but we got this Twitch soundtrack thing that you guys can use now. And that's like music that we've cleared. Okay, I put big air quotes over that. We've cleared this music. And this is why I think Twitch is in some serious fucking shit. I think we might all be looking for a new platform in a year and a half to 2 years. And I'll explain that in as soon as I get to the end of this. So Twitch has cleared this music for a Twitch soundtrack. And they also announced that they have other plans. And one of the most important things that they said in the entire blog post, I think it was in like the last paragraph, when they were talking about being able to route music through the same audio channel that Twitch soundtrack uses. So I'll talk about Twitch soundtrack now because it's probably the biggest takeaway. Twitch soundtrack is basically, I don't know if you do this, Dan, but there is a way with a Go XLR to set multiple audio channels.
Yeah.
So I can say my voice goes here, my alerts go here, whatever. Twitch
Yeah.
soundtrack essentially takes one of those audio channels and it sends it separate from the video.
Mm-hmm.
So two things can happen with that. The viewer can turn off the music if they don't like the music, which is nice. If you ever been listening to a streamer and you don't like their music, you could play your own and you're good to go. And the second thing that kind of happens with that, oh Jesus, where was I?
Probably
why am
about
I-
how you can listen to music, but your stream doesn't hear it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I set
that
up with my
happens
Go
too. But
XLR.
there's, yeah, shit. I don't know why I lost the train of thought. I'm fine. I swear, I'm not upset.
One of the most important things they said was in the last paragraph of the post. Maybe that rings a bell.
Oh, yeah. Basically, yeah. There's a secondary audio channel, and they're like Twitch soundtrack uses that audio channel, and it doesn't get saved to VODs. So basically, people hear this live, right? That's where I was. Thank you very much, Cobra. It's the people hear the song live, they can mute it, and it also doesn't get into the VOD either. So basically, you're safe from any chance of copyrighted, like a copyright strike on post live material. It's not going to happen, and
It's a stopgap.
exactly.
But they cleared it, so why would what's the point?
They cleared it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to that in a second. And one of the most important things in that post is that they said that they might allow for other ways to route to that audio channel, which means that you could, in theory, play your own Spotify to it, not end up being in the thing.
I believe this is actually, I saw a discussion about this. I think that feature
Apparently
is being put
doable.
into OBS.
Yeah,
at some
apparently
point.
it's
going to be a
doable
native,
right now.
It's going to be
There's
a
a
native
plugin.
feature. There's already a plugin you can get for it. It's being integrated into OBS directly. But as I said, it's a stopgap, and yeah.
Yeah.
So just keep going. This is beautiful. I love
Okay.
it.
So here we go. Why Twitch does not look at history and actually read it. Okay, they have said publicly that they have obtained the mechanical licenses for every song on Twitch Sings, but you need two types of licenses to play music. When you're streaming, you need a mechanical license and a sync license. A mechanical license means I can have no video and I can play my song over the air and you're good. They have that. Perfect. If you have no video on your stream and you play the music, you're good to go. However, if you want to sync up video to the music, you need a sync license. According to the music industry and DMCA and all this shit, you need a sync license. But Twitch literally said, no, you don't. That's it. They said, no, you don't.
So
No,
who
you
do you
don't.
trust? The guys
with
that
their-
don't have
with
your
their
back,
Twitch
or the
tunes or
company trying to
whatever?
sue you?
Yes, with Twitch soundtrack,
So
they
Twitch
said you
gave
don't
a
need
contract that said it's okay, but it's actually not okay.
it. Twitch, basically, you have, listen, on one side, okay, you have Goliath, and on the other side, you have David's younger brother, okay? Not David, but David's younger brother who can't pick up the sling, okay? And David is like, you need both licenses. And Goliath is like, you need both licenses. And little mini David is standing there looking up like, no, I don't. Like, what are you going to do about it? And Goliath just steps on him and moves on to the next idiot who didn't decide to just cave and get both licenses.
So
That's
that's
it.
for
Twitch
the
soundtrack.
Twitch soundtrack.
Correct. So
That's
if you
the
buy,
fucking weirdest thing I've ever even heard. You can
Yeah.
play it without video, but you can't have it on while you have video?
yeah, so essentially, like, it's
What?
let's say I had a song and I bought the mechanical rights. I couldn't play it over an ad, let's say. So in the old days, you couldn't buy the rights to use a song and then make a video with it. Like, make a movie with it.
Okay. Okay.
You needed a separate set of rights.
Okay.
And
But why would-
they've been leveraging that law forever. And Twitch is like, well, that's just not how it works. And the music industry's like, it's our job to know that's how it works.
Why would
I
Twitch even
couldn't
release the
fucking tell
Twitch radio or whatever the fuck it's called if it doesn't have that? That's That like reminds me of the Tupperware you can buy that holds a banana. It's like a banana-shaped Tupperware where you're like,
Yeah.
who the fuck would ever buy this? A banana comes in its own package. Why do you need this thing that's shaped like a banana? It's not useful for anything else.
Right.
Yeah. And here's the kicker. Here's the other part of the whole meme is obviously the intent with this product is to give you a DMCA-less musical experience to some degree on your Twitch channel. But having it on, you could still end up getting flagged and hit by DMCAs.
Yeah.
And because there's not a way for your channel to just like be whatever blocked from whatever their scanner system that's just looking for anything that has their music. You know, even if it is a song, it might even be something that's not actually in the Twitch soundtrack that you might be getting flagged for incorrectly. So you can still get hit. You can still get hit by things that are gonna be hearing other sounds inside of that as well.
Yeah. Well, so you can, except there's a whole other process there, right? Because if they have control over what goes over that audio channel, then I imagine that they're just going to say, no, you have the rights to like whatever goes over that.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you open a second well for the water to go through, or if you open a second river, right? If you make a man-made river, that's what they're doing. They're building a second audio channel that you can put through. If other people can use it that aren't using Twitch soundtrack, then you can't blanket cover that, because then other people would just use music that's not included with Twitch soundtrack on the second channel, and just
in theory they
still
can
expose yourself.
Oh
yes, but that's because there's no live takedowns yet, though. But when that stuff starts to come, you're not going to be 100% on that either.
No. I gotta stop you because I know that's actually not true, and the only reason I know that that's actually not true is because I reached out to one record label the day before that blog post came out, who specifically told me they're working on a licensing deal with Twitch specifically. So in the Twitch soundtrack software, they have actual rights to everyone in there. So if I made a Spotify playlist of all the artists in Twitch soundtrack and played it through that secondary audio channel, there would be no actual difference.
I'm just saying if they were scanning for live content, a different company that thinks they're hearing their thing,
right?
Even if it's wrong, but still,
those labels and artists are actually making money off of those plays.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying there.
So
I'm just saying it doesn't make you there's not like there is no bulletproof system for if your content is misidentified. I'm not talking about the label that owns the music. I'm talking about literally anybody else.
Okay. No, I'm sorry.
I'm talking about literally anybody else. Yeah.
You're never safe.
Yeah.
Your content on Twitch is always a liability. It can always get DMCA'd falsely.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
Like, if somebody can file a copyright claim that sounds a lot like something that you say or do or hum or fucking how your game sounds, and you can get DMCA'd for it. That's legit. That can happen to you. One guy got DMCA'd, dude, for playing like Lil Yachty or something, and what he was actually playing was a 3-second or 10-second clip or whatever of the circus theme, the do 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 do. Like when he looked at the claim,
that's what I mean.
It was like the circus theme, but he got claimed for something else.
Even if they have a license for the music, it can still be misidentified by other third parties that are like, oh wait, this is actually our song. Oh, good luck. Now you have to, hopefully it would automate the defense of that more easily, but yeah, I guess that's another big part of the problem is there's not a system in place that actually allows you to move through this stuff on your own, especially because, you get hit by the 3 and then can you even I've never been banned from Twitch before. I don't know. Can these people even actually like access their dashboard still?
No.
Are they just completely locked out of everything in the website?
When you get banned, you can't even look at your financials. You can't look at anything.
That's
you are literally
mega fucked.
You are excommunicated from the Twitch religion, dude. You are out.
So if this happens to you right now, your recourse is to try to, I guess, reply to the DMCA email and hope that whoever is on the other side gets to you fast enough.
Bro, you are literally, if I play a top 20 song right now and you get banned, you are as bad as if I had literally turned my camera into fucking porn and just played it. And you got banned for that. The fucking consequences are exactly the same.
I'd
For
be less
however
afraid
many
of the
days,
porn ban at this point.
and that's disgusting. And that's
it's the
disgusting
same
because
shit. It's the same fucking thing.
because I think we've all gone through it on YouTube. Like you've been through the process at least once with at least like a false claim, and it's like
Right.
you get you have it's built into the website. Like you don't get kicked out of being able to use it. It's like, oh yeah, this guy thinks that you played his song, but it was like 40 zerglings all blowing up at once, and you're like, oh no, this is just video game sound. And then they have to reply back or refute it.
Right.
And if they don't do anything, if they don't bring evidence or actually make an attempt to, prove that you actually did something, it will automatically be removed from you. And it'll just be like, yeah, after a long enough period of time, if they're not going to actually confirm it once you counterclaim, then, that's a protection against BS like that. At least some sort of protection. But you don't even get that on Twitch.
When you're a partner on YouTube now, you can actually say, I have the rights to X thing. You can actually say, like, this creator has given me permission to play their shit or or use whatever it is. So like if I get a song given permission or license to me, I can say that, and that creator can still issue a copyright strike. Like, no, don't take that down. I don't like how it's being used. But they'll no longer get claims for that. So you can say, like, obviously the system isn't like perfect in that way, but I mean, if you are the copyright holder, you still have control over what happens unless you licensed it. Giving permission doesn't mean you own the rights to use it. It just means that you got permission to use it. So the holder can retract. But there's a system on YouTube for that. There's nothing for that here. Nothing. They are literally in the Stone Age. And the streamers are the ones who are getting screwed. Like, we all are getting screwed. Like, yeah, it's just so ridiculous. The entire thing is insane.
It sounds crazy.
Well, you
sounds
do know
way
that
worse than what I actually thought this was going to be.
Yeah. I mean, it has, like we said, within 6 months, like some popular games will just not be streamed because people will get banned and people are gonna be like, okay, no, because there's only one, like well, that's not necessarily like one, but if they don't want to change the way they're doing and there's not some affordable service or, Twitch specific type of license, but that's the thing is all of this shit is so new relative to everything that there's not some easy service where you're like, I would like to play Taylor Swift. How do I go about finding a way to play that music on my stream legally, right? Even if you could find a way to reach someone, you'd probably be talking to them about like a restaurant license or something weird that doesn't actually qualify or cover what you're doing because this type of content doesn't really exist outside of maybe a specific partnership they do because it's like channels that they own that they put it out on online. But
yeah.
That's a big fear because if something like that doesn't happen, which is very unlikely, I don't see that happening. I don't see it being affordable for majority of people, right? So it's not like the people up top are the ones that are going to be hit the hardest by this because they all got unbanned. But then you're like, well, now the games become harder to stream. Everybody ends up on like the same music, and it was, I guess, worth bringing up. Facebook actually announced that they had. For their partners, they actually made a deal with some of the. I don't know which of the big labels.
I think like all of
it was
them,
just
all
one.
the major record labels.
But they made a deal so that their partners that are partnered and paid and they make money streaming on Facebook, they can actually just play that shit. Like the company just covered them.
Yeah,
so
like you can play Taylor Swift.
It's not like it's an unsolvable problem, but Twitch's response has been prepare 0%, right? Actually, prepare -% because they encourage people to play this type of stuff. There was never any sort of real discouragement towards people using copyrighted content. They didn't build any systems. They obviously didn't think that they were going to need to for whatever reason or thought they could get away with it. So now it ends up being that it's like, do you expect these guys to be the ones to say, yeah, for our partners, we're going to figure something out like that. Like they haven't given even the I mean, I honestly feel stupid for even just saying this because of how unlikely it is that they would ever go out of their way to try to do something like that because of how big the platform is and because it's, Twitch is a borderline monopoly on live streaming. This is the place where people go for the most part, right? That could change. That is, I mean, there's some things that are happening in places with the other sites, but for the most part, it's the biggest place. This is where most people are. They can tell streamers to go, to go fuck themselves if they want. They don't give a shit about us. They're not going to go out of their way to pay for music licenses for I don't know. They like to brag about it. What, like 25, 30? How many thousands of partners now? Like 35,000 partners are going to get blanket licenses for this stuff for? Forget about
Apparently
it.
they were in talks. Like they were
Yeah, well,
actually.
then they saw a price tag.
Yeah, they saw the price tag and they weren't willing to shell out.
Well,
That's
they hardly pay streamers like 5% of what they make off of ads. So I'm not surprised they're not going to shell out millions of dollars to give us music. Just look at the way Twitch approaches everything. It's when it comes to stuff for streamers, you're hardly getting anything that increases your revenue.
50% of your sub revenue. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just, they add things that they say it's like, yes, it's measurable for them that it's a massive increase in revenue, but where does the money for stuff like big amounts of gifted subs come from? Well, that's your big donation of the month gone, right? And there are certainly lots of other ways that you can talk about why that's, wrong. And there's a lot of good arguments against that. But the general point that I'm trying to make is Twitch is not out to help streamers. Twitch is out to help you if you're making them a lot of money already. And I have no doubt in my mind that all these big streamers, I have no doubt in my mind that Summit and Pokemon or whoever, all the top people, they're going to be taken care of. They're going to probably figure something out with them, or they're already doing it themselves. But for the majority of people, we're headed towards not being able to stream tons of games and having every single channel on Twitch just be, one of the 2,000 songs in the Chill Hop Lofi playlist.
Yeah. Yeah, but what really fucking grinds my gears here is that I know for a fact, let's say a 99% fact, okay? Because obviously the person who told me that couldn't, like, not Mr. Terber, but maybe the person they heard that from, who was an inside source, is maybe like that was misinformed. But if you get a DMCA strike on deleted content, the content that's already being deleted, then they'll remove it if you email them. But that isn't public knowledge. Did you know that? So like all these people are running around.
I heard about that.
Shit-faced terrified that they're going to get banned for something that they deleted. It's semi-public knowledge, but not by Twitch. So the company who's literally has you by the balls, they didn't tell you that you're safe if you deleted all your shit. You're just sitting there sweating. You're sweating because you've played, if you're Jason, you've played Taylor Swift every fucking week for the last 300 weeks. And any one of those clips you think it's going to get you. But you're actually fine. Right? For anything you've deleted. All the other problems are there, and this is the part that.
Well, then you still have to go through that process too, by the way. You still have to go to the email and waiting for someone to help you.
It just highlights the the lack of communication from Twitch here. Like, Twitch literally waits to the absolute last second and communicates 10% of what they should. And, I understand that communicating can often lead you to be in a world of shit because you don't want to always communicate your whole hand. You don't want the industry to know and whatever. But these are people's lives, like their livelihoods. We should know what the fuck's going on when Twitch drops the ball like this. Like, we should know what our futures are going to look like. Like, for example, we all have an exclusivity clause. We're all stuck here. We can't go anywhere, can't do anything else, right? But if we all could, we would all stream to YouTube at the same time, because if you're looking at this DMCA stuff, you're afraid. Like, you can't not be afraid, right? There's no way to look at this, because either you're going down or everyone else is going down, and what are you gonna be, the last person on Twitch? Like, it's not gonna happen that way. Like, the creators have all built communities off of Twitch, Discords, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Like, at the end of the day, we love Twitch, but Twitch is just a link. Like, if it all goes to hell, we'll just go somewhere else, right? But we can't build that anywhere else right now because we're stuck here. So, they're not communicating with us, and we're stuck on this one place, and there's nothing you can do. Everyone feels kind of shoehorned into a corner. I love I see somebody in Twitch saying people love Twitch ? I do love Twitch. I mean, it's been incredibly good to me. I've had some of the best moments of my life on this platform. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, and a lot of people that work there do a lot of good work. A lot of the products that are coming out soon that people don't know about are actually solutions to problems that people hate right now, like ad stuff. They are working on solutions. I think they mistimed them like crazy, But don't think that they don't think like things like pre-rolls aren't a big problem. They hate them too. They're a necessary evil because they have to make X amount of dollars in order to prove that they're a viable business, like every other business in the world. Like I don't like to shit on them for no reason. But when it
Yeah.
comes to communication, Twitch is the fucking worst. And they really need to work on that shit. Because we didn't know, like we sat there for 3 months with no content on the platform or literally sweating. And then when the second wave came, people who didn't believe the round of people who were saying this is a big deal.
You guys
just
are
lost everything.
overblowing it. Nothing's gonna happen, guys. People have been playing music for years. Why are things gonna change all of a sudden?
Oh man, too many people said that. Say like,
Yeah.
I wish. I
Well,
wish
there are people
that
still saying it,
caricature
by the way.
wasn't
There are people
exactly accurate. It's
There are
so
people who
right.
think this is just going to end soon. There's that things are going to be
Yeah.
like just normal. It's just going to go away.
It's
Like,
not.
yeah, all the music shit. Oh yeah, whatever. You know, a couple months, this stuff's done. Whatever. No, there's what is that? My favorite analogy is the eye of Sauron of the music industry is on you now, and it's not going to look away because this is where a lot of people are. This is where people are all living online now. These record labels don't have anything to do anyway because there's no events that they're managing. It's all online sales. That's got to be everything for them right now. There is zero reason for them to turn back from deciding to clamp down on rampant use of copyrighted material without their permission. You know, from their perspective, it's an incredibly normal thing that they're like, oh yeah, well, I don't really care if your friend Susan has been streaming and it built up her life. She's been playing our music and we deserve a cut. So you can either go through whatever channel to do that, or we're going to claim your content and then you're going to get banned. Like it's not like there's an easy decision to be made on any point. Like the law doesn't really protect content creators because the way that it's set up is, you know, if you want to try to go prove to these guys that you're doing fair use with your 5-second Taylor Swift song clip, you know, good luck taking them to court over it to get a ruling that you were using it correctly, because otherwise the only arbitrator is Twitch. And they are going to take the side of the people claiming that, no, you don't own this content.
There has to be like a motivation behind everything, right? So the DMCAs, like, are they trying to put the screws to Twitch to get a deal with Twitch? Or are they, you mentioned
can be all of
some
them.
streamers might get sued.
No.
Like what? How does
Amazon is one of the biggest corporations on earth. If Amazon really wanted to, like there's a world where most of this is just putting so much pressure legally and just from internally on Twitch and Amazon that they're like, one of their best case scenarios is that Amazon just says, fuck this, we can't handle all of this bad PR. We do have the money to just throw at this and fix it. That's their best case scenario, because then their music goes out to everyone like they want. Everyone keeps playing their music and they get their cut from Amazon paying for it blanket, right? Yeah, but obviously that is insanely expensive because, you know, there's a lot of partners, there's a lot of people who will still stream, and then you still need to build that system for people who wouldn't be included in a blanket, because obviously they wouldn't give the million. I think their stat is like 1 million different people have streamed on Twitch. They're not going to blanket 1 million people with that sort of protection, but
right.
Yeah, that's the best case magical, you know, rainbow unicorn scenario is that Amazon just uses its infinite money. But they're loath to do that for many obvious reasons. It's not like Twitch is making them money to the point where they're like, yeah, we could spend 2% of Twitch's profits on a $20 million music license. No, because they're not making enough money that's a drop in the bucket for what the Twitch revenue specifically is. So the easiest thing for them to do is to just cave to the music industry and let most streamers, I guess, eat shit. But anything could still happen, right? There's not been a serious resolution to any of this yet.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's time I want to stay in order for you, Sal, but what about the
pretty much at the end,
the strikes? Like how does this work? Do people get rid of strikes? Like
currently if you get hit with a strike on content that's still there, it doesn't come off. I don't know what happens if you delete it. You just have a strike now.
And does that strike just exist for the Twitch platform forever? Is that how this works?
So I guess we're at the phase now where we talk about what this means for streamers. Now, what this basically means for streamers is the following. Like when this started in the summer, I went full nuclear. I had no faith in Twitch. My faith was already low from ads. So I think that probably fed some of my decision making at the time. And I was just right. Unfortunately, I was right. Right. I kept every clip above 30 views. I spent 12 to 14 hours individually combing through every single clip and downloading and keeping what I thought was good or funny or salvageable or whatever, because there are a lot of clips that you don't really need. But like that, I realize now that I was right, and that if you keep clips here, every single clip is an avenue of attack for a DMCA request. Having clips on is a liability, right? It's like if I were an insurance company, every clip you have is like a pre-existing condition. Like it's essentially the same thing. Like every single time you have another VOD or piece of content on Twitch, you are open to getting fucking destroyed from an industry who incorrectly claims your content, right? And then, if you actually, like, for some people, you live at home and you're streaming, but some people literally are living month to month on Twitch. If you get banned for 14 days, bro, like, you're out of a job. You're not getting paid. You're not getting subs. And you're like literally wondering if you're going to have a job again. And you have no clue what the fuck's going on. Like, you can't risk these things. So it's my recommendation that everyone who plays any kind of music, Twitch soundtrack or otherwise, like, you 100% should disable clips and disable VODs, or do sub only VODs and save them manually yourself. Put them on YouTube, because at least there, that if you get copyright claimed, then you're not going to like lose your channel over it. You're going to lose the ad revenue. But like, if you're not partnered, it's fine, right? So, and that's the thing. Like, you can use a GoXLR or whatever mechanism to strip the music from it with a secondary channel anyway. So you can upload there and post, right? Having anything on Twitch is just a liability, man. Like, it is what it is. And if you're not playing, like, if you're not playing music, now you have to ask yourself a serious question. Am I willing to risk that something in this game that happened doesn't get me DMCA'd? Am I willing to risk that? Every single person has to think like that. Like, I can't. I wish I was just talking out of my ass. I wish that somebody would just bust into this fucking stream right now and be like, "No, you're wrong. It's not what's gonna happen." Like, no one's gonna do that. That's just where we are.
I think we both agree that there is literally nothing more in this situation that we want than to be wrong.
Than to be wrong as fuck.
Yeah.
I wish I was wrong as fuck. But honestly, if what you should think of Twitch as is an Airbnb for your live stream, that's it. Just build a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Just build a YouTube channel.
Use platforms that offer methods to protect
take your
yourself.
Content, hire an editor, or do it yourself and build a YouTube channel. That's it. It's just, that is what it is.
How are they deciding things like ban lengths? I'm very confused about this.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube has a peel off time. So like, I wouldn't be so stringent about not keeping clips and stuff and like not having VODs if there was an amount of time that could pass and you would be safe. Like on YouTube, if you get a DMCA strike after 60 to 90 days, it comes off.
Yeah, because that's
not how
abuse.
Twitch works.
Their platform is, the way that they're set up is to try to prevent abuse. Obviously, it's not perfect,
Yes.
but Twitch is like, oh, you've got, we've marked your jacket now, and that's where everyone's gonna know. We're gonna know forever that you've done this, and it's never coming off. And that's another one of the problems too. There's no clearly defined system or path. It's just literally, yeah, don't turn any sound on at all. Don't play music or games you don't have the rights to, and good luck.
Yeah. So this guy in chat, sorry, this guy in chat says,
"Oh, go ahead."
But Pig does YouTube and he's getting cucked. Okay. Very importantly, different levels of cucked. Okay. There is cucked as in, okay, you're not getting your ad revenue this month, and there's cucked as in, you can't come here anymore. Ever again. You don't actually have
what
content
happened to
anymore.
Pig? What happened to Pig?
Oh, there's the YouTube ad. I've only seen the tweets. If he wants to speak for himself, he can, but I've only seen the tweets. I think they're taking as ad revenue when they shouldn't be. There's some really weird ad revenue shit going on.
There's bad things. There is no perfect solution for this because the law was passed in 1998. Like the people there weren't even fucking dreaming of the type of stuff that people are doing with the internet now. And a lot of it is transformative, and a lot of it does, under the opinions of many out there, fall under fair use. But because the law is so archaic and the way that everything is set up puts the power in the holders' hands of the copyright, that they get to decide unilaterally whether or not they think it's fair. And obviously they're never going to come out and be like, hey, we just want you to know that we were going to DMCA you, but we decided that this was actually funny. Like no company's doing that because it's all automated. There's no person that's looking at your video being like, man, I can't believe this guy just sat there, turned off all his sound, and just headbanged to our song for like 2 minutes, right? Which you could then be like, I don't know, how much of this is about the song versus the stream, right? Or whatever, right? How much of this is transformative? How much of this is, could you argue, is being used in good faith or whatever type of language you want to say, that it's not just straight up ripping off somebody's work. But until the law changes, that you're just kind of at the mercy of the system, and that's well, that's the part that sucks the most. So people have all the horror stories about YouTube with ad revenue being taken, but like, I've never been banned. I've never been banned for all the fake claims that have come in. I've at least been able to deal with them. You know, I've never had to send an email or a Twitter DM to a stranger on the internet saying, hey, I got banned, but like, I wasn't playing Blinding Lights by the Weekend. We were just playing a game and there was some weird electronic sound that a character made, right? Like I ulted or some shit and my laser beam apparently triggered this thing. They're like, no. And then you get to wait and you see the little blue check mark that the person read your message and you're like, all right, guess I'm in the bin with 150, however many other people are there now. There's not some easy process that's set up where you can at least try to get around this. Yeah.
Okay.
As for what happened with Pig earlier, I was on a call with him, and he said this publicly on stream, so it's not private information necessarily, but a YouTube algorithm decided that a lot of the views on his YouTube content that it served ads to, that the views were fake, and therefore that it took back some of the ad revenue that he's supposed to receive. So he's in the battle of trying to prove that his views are real and get his money back.
Okay. That's a completely different mess, but still awful nonetheless. Bless you, Pig. Hope everything works out.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so with the Twitch situation here, everyone should delete all of their clips and all of their VODs. How long does it hold VODs for? I know that they reduced that, right? Isn't it only 6 months or something now?
60 days.
60 days if you're
unless you manually save them. But like, again, you're basically running a risk like every time. Right.
Yeah. Any one of those, if it detects if these automated systems, and like, just imagine this show, right? It doesn't, even if you're not using a lot of musical type assets, even if it just incorrectly picks anything up, if the failure rate is like 1%, right? And you look at YouTube videos where people get false claimed over, most people aim for 10 minutes, right? Sometimes a YouTube video goes a bit longer, like, these shows, for example. But when streams are long and there's a lot of content to go through, the potential for there to be way more, right, relatively, like for your DMCA stuff with getting hit by these flags is also going to be up. There's a lot of video content out there. Some people had it between clips. Like, I can't even imagine what the cumulative length of all of the clips that I've had up, right? And you're like, oh, well, clips aren't that big of a deal, but people take random fucking clips all the time of literally anything that people say. People click the button on accident. Streamers who have the button on their stream deck press it by accident. Like, there's so much content that gets generated that could be targeted, whether it's correctly or not, by these algorithms and these systems. And there's nothing set up to manage, deal with it, or protect yourself against it, other than being told to turn off all your sound.
Okay, and so delete everything, but Devin Nash said that you can still get DMCA'd for deleted things because they still technically exist.
Yes, but we know for an almost 100% fact that if a deleted thing gets DMCA'd, so there are two fundamental problems with that on Twitch's end. The first is that having that content is a violation of GDPR. So and no one has really talked about that too much.
GDPR?
GDPR is the European mandate that a person who deletes content has to be able to delete the content 100%. Has to be
Like, really delete
Oh,
it.
Yeah, I remember something.
Right.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
let's say I dox myself online and I delete that and there's a clip made of it and that clip is deleted, it's still there and that fails GDPR. So
Mhm.
like we technically Europeans could sue them. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
for that exact thing.
theoretically, they open themselves up big time
To a
there.
pretty massive fucking lawsuit. Yeah.
But stuff like that is a great reminder that there are ways that you can, there are things that could potentially change down the line. I mean, America moves really slow when it comes to law type stuff. So I think it's going to probably be more on the longer side if like the DMCA itself ever gets reworked or fixed or whatever, or improved to be like more clearly outline actual guidelines for what constitutes fair use, so that you can be like, no, I'm 100% within these parameters, that you at least have that for those types of situations. But yeah, I mean, good luck with that, right? With how slow things go here, but you end up like, I don't know. Yeah, the GDPR thing was a really big issue too, because Europe, as far as I'm aware, they've been taking that stuff pretty seriously.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. There's another issue. The thing is that on DMCA side, it's a request. It's a courtesy. Hey, take this content down. When I click that delete button, I did my best effort. If I had to go to court, a judge would look at that and they would see, oh, you deleted the content, you took it down. So who does it fall on then? It falls on Twitch, because Twitch is now hosting my content. So two things can happen there. One, they're now the content holder, and two, I can DMCA them because they have my content.
You can't
pretty
DMCA
sure.
Twitch, I bet. I bet you that's somewhere in the
I bet
agreement
you I
that you
could.
signed. I bet you it's somewhere
my-
in there that you can't
It's
do
Well,
that.
the
I mean,
content
Dan,
isn't
through the
exclusive to their
power of
platform.
litigation, all things are possible. Whether you win is a different question.
Well, think about it. I could take a VOD,
Very
put it on
American answer.
YouTube, and use YouTube to file a DMCA. It's still my content. Because it's no longer supposed to be on Twitch. They don't have exclusivity over my content. They only have it for 24 hours. After that, I can put it wherever I want and do whatever I want with it. Like,
Wow.
so having that content still opens them up for a world of shit. So that's why if you get a DMCA on content that's deleted, if you email them, they'll remove that strike.
That makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah.
Who are you even supposed to email for that type of thing? Like, you
Probably
just
your partner manager or fucking God. I don't know. At this point, say a couple prayers, Artosis.
yeah, that's about it.
We're all fucked.
You just type in god@gmail.com. He's probably the one with that.
Some Twitch support staff is like, this guy means it.
He's like, no. I'm
Definitely.
also like, oh, god@aol.com. Okay, we got
it.
Yeah. I mean, I know on YouTube they or at least when it comes to DMCA, I think in general, they are still supposed to provide a method of trying to contact the rights holder, which, to the best of my knowledge, I do think Twitch includes that. And good luck getting the rights holder to respond to you, but you can technically also ask them to take back their claim after you delete your content, is a thing you can try to do. That's not going to guarantee anything for you, but if it's not the biggest label or whatever that gets inundated with these types of requests, like, you could possibly have the person undo it after you've satisfied whatever it is that they were upset about.
Well, I think you can refute the claim, but then they can actually take you to court after that.
Yes, that they can also do that, but you can also they're supposed to give you a method of direct contact to be able to say, yeah, you can also just try to settle it between yourselves individually too.
Yeah.
So from all this information, what is the actual future for this? Like, how for streamers, for Twitch, like, should people be looking at alternative streaming platforms, would you say? Should people ride it out and see what Twitch does? Like, how does
think
this work?
Twitch is just gonna double down. This is so here we enter the part that's no longer fact. It like and history at this point. We enter into predictions, essentially. What we think is gonna happen. It's important to say that because I get worked up, but I don't want it to seem like this is 100% the way things are gonna go. But this is what I think is gonna happen. Twitch is literally going to stop trying to tailor to VOD content completely. That's what I think is gonna happen. They'll sign deals with most small labels, I think. So not the big ones like UMG, but like for example, I reached out to Cold Busted Records. They have lots of like not like beat makers and chill hop guys and whatever. Like good, they have good albums and stuff. A lot of different guys that I'm a big fan of, because you get a problem where I reached out to like an artist, Emma Pia. He makes tons of beats. He makes great beats. I love them. I've loved them forever. I've had them on my playlist for a long time. He has such an extensive collection that like half of his albums belong to him because they're like independently released. Half of them belong to record labels. So like when he gave me blanket permission, it only applies to half of his work.
Yeah.
Right? So you kind of have to keep that. You have to keep that in mind. Right? So what Twitch will do is probably reach out to all of these record labels and get permissions for at least the mechanical license. Right? I imagine their argument in court is going to be, we're streaming this audio to a second audio channel that is optional. It doesn't belong to the video that comes with it. Right? I think that's what they're going to argue.
That makes so much more sense
but
then. Yeah,
it's not. But a fucking judge is going to look at that and be like, can I turn off the video and play the audio? And they're going to say no. And then you're going to, and then they're going to have a situation where they're going to be like, oh, so you
can on your phone though. You can do audio only on your phone.
You can do audio only, but you have audio only on the video and on the music. So like you still have both audio tracks synced up. So basically they're going to go to court over that, and they're either going to lose it and they're going to need sync licenses, or they're not.
And that could end up being a pretty big deal, the result of that. If they're willing to go to court, and this is all assuming Amazon doesn't just dump them, by the way, because Devin Nash has rightly pointed this out. It's 80-20 rule. If Twitch makes up 20%, like a small fraction, like 1% of the revenue, but causes 80% of their litigation and problems, like, are they going to take that fight? They're not an ads company. If it were YouTube, if it were Google, they might take that fight because they sell ads. But Amazon doesn't sell ads. So you have this question of, well, why Amazon's keeping them because they can sell what? I don't know. They're keeping it to have a foot in the content creation space. If the business is profitable, they'll keep it. Right? Like, but if the business starts causing them a shit ton of problems, they might not. So if they decide to back that fight in the first place, then maybe you'll get a massive overhaul, because no one's got the balls to stand up to them, right? Like, no,
like that's the problem. The music industry's entire job, like, for example, every artist I reached out to that responded to me gave me permission to use their work. So it's not the artists. It's not the artists. The artists who made the music don't have a problem with us using stuff, for the vast majority of them. So who has the problem? The people who, it's like how Twitch takes your money and they're like, because we did a good thing. The record label takes their money and says we did a good thing, but they didn't do anything. Like, they didn't make that music. They sold it. That's all they do. It's their job. Right? Yeah. So it's their jobs to make sure that when you hit play, they get paid. That's it. Right?
Totally.
Yeah. Well, it is as far as the future for streaming on Twitch goes, and like what people need to do, people like a worst case type scenario is that, you know, Amazon's obviously not going to go to bat, right? Let's assume that for whatever reason, you know, that doesn't go to some big litigation thing. Amazon's like, we're just gonna tell Twitch that they just have to sit there and deal with it. A system gets implemented eventually, because they are gonna have to do it without, you know, either hiring a bunch of people or getting sued. They'll have to implement some sort of automatic content ID type system for live streams. It will have to exist. People will get banned while streaming for things that'll
happen.
Do not violate DMCA. Right. People will get banned live. People will have their livelihoods taken away over things like that, or greatly affected by being banned for a week or two while they try to settle it out. And most of the streams that you tune into, the big popular ones, will probably have things worked out where those guys can use the big things. You know, there's already like, you know, hidden tiers of partner, even that aren't advertised by Twitch at all, right? And those individuals, yeah.
So subcuts.
Yeah. The only thing Twitch will tell you is that none of that is real. None of it exists. But those people, you'll still be able to probably tune in and hear whatever you want on like big popular streamers channels. Everybody else is going to fall into some category of they don't use music, or they are all going to be on like, the Pretzel platform, Chill Hop Cafe, all of this stuff. And you're going to hear pretty much the same music everywhere on the entire website.
Unless they did what I did and they take 3 days of their life, literally straight, and email all the artists, and they're like,
yeah, but most people don't do that. Sal, that's the kind of effort that makes people. So that's the kind of effort that makes people big. Okay, so I mean, the average person is not going to go to such lengths, and even if they do, we already know that somebody telling you that you can play their music doesn't mean anything if their label hasn't explicitly given you written permission that you think would actually stand up in any sort of arbitration or court hearing. Like you have to have something that says, yeah, this is legit, not just the guy replying to my tweet. Oh yeah, play my music while you're gaming, whatever. Like, so even that
is the best bet. But for sure.
Yeah. So independent small artists, obviously, there's the potential for a business to get pretty big by trying to reach out to those people for streamers. I do anticipate that there will be a popular service. This is a massive gap in the market. If Amazon doesn't want to have any part of fixing this problem, there's a place for a company to try and be a middleman between the average Joe streamer and access to music that isn't the same like 15 playlists that everybody is being forced to use now. If that doesn't happen, or it fails, or whatever, it's too expensive, they don't advertise well, they don't actually get any sort of variance in their music, then we go to option C, which is everybody's just playing the same remix of a Lo-fi song on every single channel everywhere, and people end up still probably getting banned because they boot up a game that they're excited for, and they didn't realize that even though the game, they're like, yeah, guys, there's no DMCA music in our game, but then they're like, oh my god, the trailer plays when you load the game. Oh, it's a rock music, AC/DC, I'm fucked. Goodbye, stream. Goodbye, my livelihood. Everything is gone now. Thank you. Or, before you know how to turn off the voice chat, you get put into a game with some guy who's like, are you a streamer? Boom, Back in Black's on. That's it. Your channel's over. Your livelihood's done. Game over, man. Like, that's
scary.
That's
crazy.
Hey, if Amazon doesn't take big steps to try and protect people and actually help them, and it's, I take the same stance when I talk about any subdivision of a company. I don't care how small Twitch thinks they are. They wear the Amazon shirt. They have the big boy pants on. They're playing in the big boy leagues now. Nobody talks to Twitch like there's some small division of some sub company, except the people that are trying to defend them. They are part of a super massive mega corporation that is like almost monopoly tier in the amount of influence that they have in the United States of America. And obviously they're continuing to spread around the world. This is not the kind of company that can't solve this problem if they wanted to.
It's will they? Yeah.
Yes.
Right,
so if they decide, they could leave everybody hanging. And I do think that creates a big opportunity for another platform to be like, oh, instead of wasting money on trying to sign $1 million streamers, we should make this the platform where you can be like, oh yes, our lean more towards is being able to get like licenses for our stuff. People try to encourage people to go stream there, right? I'm sure the Facebook announcement enticed a couple of people that had offers on the table to be like, I could avoid this whole entire mess if I just accept this deal and try to rebuild over there, but I can actually, play music. So that's like a non-apocalyptic type, but just, boring dystopia type solution.
I mean, we know that most mid-tier labels are going to sign up with Twitch or just give permission, because like the big labels, big artists, they won't do it because that advertising, like when you go into a stream with 1,000 viewers and they're playing some song that has literally 10 or like maybe 100 monthly listeners on Spotify, that person who's getting played there couldn't pay for exposure that good. Like that's so good for them. It's good for their label. It's good for the artist, because the streamer generally likes what they play, right? They love what they're playing. Everyone sees that and goes to Spotify because they're not listening to that VOD for you or for the music. They're there for you. So they hear a song, they go and they add it to their playlist, right? This is something that's happened for a while. This is why Sumerian Records, who Chan is on them, and I literally, my heart stopped, and I just, thanked every deity ever written ever. Like some of these artists that I love a lot, they're on Sumerian. Sumerian gave full permission. It's a big deal because, like, for them, all of their artists, they get tons of basically ad presence that they just wouldn't have gotten otherwise for free. But we all know who the fuck Taylor Swift is. Like, Even people who've never listened to a Taylor Swift song ever, right? Ever. We all know who she is. She gains actually negative value by having us play her music. It's lost plays in their mind for that. Right? So there's been talks, like a lot of people have talked about, like, making it so you can hook up your Spotify and then, everyone's worth like a certain amount of money per play. And then, that way you could play your music and the streamer could pay out, stuff like that. There's going to be some kind of solution in that way. If Twitch can't strike a deal, they'll find a way to make it so that a creator can pay. This is what I want. This is probably not going to happen. But what I would pay $100 a month to be able to play whatever the fuck I wanted. I'd pay that. Like for my 150 viewers, I'd pay that to be able to just be like, hey, I want to listen to blah, blah, blah. We're doing that today. Let's do it. Like if someone links me a song in chat, hey, I want to hear that. What's that like? I want to be able to say, oh, this music is good, or I don't like it. It doesn't tickle my fancy. But that's all dead now. And
I was gonna say, that's a very ambitious dream.
No, I mean that's a solution people have talked about, but I don't think it's gonna happen. What's gonna happen is that mid-tier labels will cut deals with Twitch. The catalog of music that's playable on Twitch will eventually grow if they don't get destroyed by litigation. And Twitch is essentially going to say, yeah, you can't have VODs here and you can play these artists, and our artist catalog is pretty big now. And that's what they're hoping. They're hoping that they don't need that music at all. That the theory that we're all copyright infringers and we need it, that's false. They're banking on that. I think that's silly. But and it doesn't help the DMCA apocalypse, which is that we can get hit for random shit that's like not actually DMCA-able. That needs to be changed. But I see what their take is. Their take is that, they can essentially create an ecosystem for artists who make music. I understand what they're doing. It's just like it always goes back to the communication thing. Why did they communicate this like 3 months after everyone literally like panicked? Like they're all worried about their livelihoods, and then they half communicated their solution, which is basically read the EULA and mute the game music till we know what the fuck is going on. Like, I mean, this is where I get lost, right?
Yeah, they started with that. That's the worst part. They started with telling you to delete everything and not play any sounds. That was their first answer.
Yeah.
Well, that's like the safest thing that's possible, right?
But it's like,
but
it doesn't matter. Like, the optics are still terrible.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah,
it was insane when I read that tweet and everyone talking about it. I'm like, oh, that's like,
is
it even worth it to tweet that?
You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember when Apple made the iPhone 4 and then they said that you're holding it wrong when the signal didn't work?
Oh yeah, because the antenna was on the side.
They tried to shunt the blame onto the person using the fucking phone. Like, we haven't all held phones before. Like, literally, if you held the phone,
you're holding the phone.
If you held the phone would just not, like, it would lose signal. And
how were you supposed to hold it? Were you supposed to hold it like this or something? Like,
you're just holding it wrong. Hold it with the other hand. Hold it with the other hand. It's fine. It's like that. It's like, hey, you guys are a bunch of idiot streamers. You know nothing about anything. Yeah. Stop playing that music, losers.
Yeah. That is
thieves playing that music.
It's your fault. Why are you playing that music, bro?
That's what sucks, because it's very much so them talking down to everyone. Like, well, you guys just need to educate yourselves. Twitch is going to go out of there. We're going to go out of our way to teach you how to properly offer yourself to a sacrifice so that you don't get hurt in the process, guys. All right. It's very important that you go out of your way. We're going to try and produce some articles for you to read that says, don't play stuff you don't own. And we're also going to say, don't play any new video games because those might have new songs in them. Rather than attempt to actually do anything or make it appear that anything is happening, to do anything other than solve the problem than saying that Twitch is now a mute website, we're just going to tell you to mute everything.
Right.
Actually, now that you say that, it makes me think that that's going to be a new marketing thing for a lot of these games, because a lot of games now take Twitch into consideration. So they'll probably part of their marketing plan will be, nothing on here will get you DMCA'd 100%.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk already came out and said that. CDPR came out and said that their game will be DMCA safe because they had all the music specifically licensed only for their game and not anything else that they could DMCA you for or whatever. Yeah. I actually tweeted them asking about that, and the response that I got was actually quite a few articles that they didn't apparently announce this a while ago.
I guess there's actually another thing I wanted to touch on for streamers specifically, right? Because like that was kind of where we're at. Was we're talking about what streamers should do here. And I want to get into what I think that what viewers should actually do after this.
Okay.
So for streamers, like, yeah, at this point, it's going to be, if you're a streamer, you have to really start thinking about your brand and what that means and what's associated with it. So, for example, I realized that all my alerts are like half like MIDI from like Zelda tracks and half like YouTube dubstep songs. And I was like, shit. Like if content copyright ever comes to Twitch from YouTube, like, okay, I'm gonna lose out because of all my alerts. So I actually
Hmm.
went and got my friend Morn, it's Morn_SC, to custom make me alerts because he's an EDM guy, but he can make whatever music you want. So he's been custom making me my alerts, the songs that you play get for bits, and we're actually I'm gonna have him commissioned to do like a few songs a month. It got accelerated because of the second round of DMCA stuff, but I'm actually gonna start getting tracks made strictly that you can only hear on my stream, right? And you have to start thinking about things like that. Like
Hmm.
you have to figure out how you're going to create your brand from scratch, because now it's truly going to be a problem that if you rip an emote off of somebody else, or you rip a track off of somebody else for your alerts, or you rip an overlay off of somebody else, like even if it's a slight variation, like you're looking at the same problem. Like copyright's going
Yeah.
to be at Twitch in a big way, right?
Yeah.
So every sound that you have that plays for your stream, even if you have to learn some skills to figure that out, it's time to start fucking doing that. Because the more, like, if you start subscribing to like Own TV has a pack of overlays, right? Here's a good example. Jason got a nice overlay pack. I tuned into a 3-viewer streamer and I saw the same overlay pack.
Mhm.
So like Jason's overlay is the same quality and the same aesthetic as somebody who has 3 viewers. Right? Like,
Yeah, but that's like the
but that's
business model of
and
something like
it's
Own,
not like
right?
a major problem as much
It's
as
like
it
using
becomes
stock
like,
art.
if that happens everywhere. Like if everybody switches to the stock art you pay for so that it's copyright safe. If everybody switches to all of this, the jingles and shit that are copyright safe. Because before, people are just like, oh yeah, I want to just use like this jingle or whatever, it's fine. But now you have like maybe 50 like alerts you'll hear, and you'll hear them everywhere. Every stream. Or you'll have like 100 overlays, you'll see them everywhere. Over 30,000 streamers, you'll see them on every single stream, right? Like these are things you have to think about now. And somebody in chat asked, for the smaller partners or and non-partners, how do you expect to go in that regard? Listen, I understand what I'm about to tell you seems privileged, okay? But I'm going to explain to you that I'm the one person who can look you dead in the fucking face and tell it to you. I did everything from scratch for the last like 4 years. I learned how to
Very
do
true.
pixel art. I learned how to do like the music stuff. I learned how to do all that shit myself. I did it all myself. And it wasn't until literally I ran out of hours in the day and I stopped talking to family members it became a real problem. Okay? And I'm lucky that now I have a little bit of expendable cash to like start building a team of people. Like Carnage, he has all of his overlays made for his stream. All of his alerts made per game, per stream. So like he goes crazy. I can't go that crazy. And I understand that it's tough. But that's going to be the art of being a streamer, is you're going to have to be a jack of all trades. Like you have to be able to put your stuff on YouTube now. Like you can't have it on Twitch. If you get DMCA'd, you lose your channel. So you just need to start being a YouTuber too. Like these are just the realities a content creator has to face. You have to get out of the idea
I'll be right
of
back.
being
1
a
second, sorry.
streamer. You're not a streamer anymore. And that sucks for me because that's my job. That's the thing I love to do the most. I'm a streamer by trade. But my new job is content creator. Because this platform looks like it could fail me. And I'm not going to lose everything I worked for because of that. Right? So if you are a streamer, you need to take a step back and think of yourself as a content creator. Right? And I don't say that because I don't like I'm like privileged or I'm trying to like talk down. I'm just trying to give you advice to protect your brands. Because you know, if you play some track that I own, right, as a bigger streamer, I'm like, oh fuck this guy, he's using my content. Right? I can just take you out. Like it's just something I can do.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? If you watch my stream for a little bit too long, I could DMCA you. And it sucks, but it's the reality that you live in. So
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to protect the brand, and you have to step away from other people's content and make yourself, yeah, like you need to start looking for permissions. If there's a game you want to like watch from ESL, you got to reach out. That's their content. These are things you need to start to think about, the rights and stuff. Like that's all, and it's a bitter pill I had to swallow, because I understand that, you know, these people probably want their content seen. It's just the way of the world, and it's unfortunate in many ways. And sometimes it's fortunate. If someone's using your content in a way you don't like, you have that right. It belongs to you. But it's just part of the game you got to play.
It feels like there's a silver lining there, based on the way you were just talking about that, where now it's like people shouldn't just rely on Twitch. I think probably that's always true.
Right.
is
No,
you
I
don't
mean,
want
Yeah.
all your eggs in one basket.
I mean, Devin talked about that in your interview. Like, people should already have been pushing to YouTube in the first place. It's just that now it's become very apparent that that has to happen in every single way. Like, you have to think about that from the get-go. Like, Twitch is a great place to stream your stuff. It is. It has a great ecosystem for it. It has a good chat. It has a lot of great features. YouTube's live service sucks. It's terrible.
It blows.
It blows, right? So Twitch is still a great place for live content, and it probably will be till the end, if that ever happens, right? But like now, you have to think like, okay, so I have to put my VOD somewhere. Like this work I did, I can make stuff out of it. It's got to go somewhere. I mean, a good example that I tell people, like, obviously this is an extreme example, so keep that in mind. Harris Heller, before he became a big YouTuber, paid his editor $2,000 a month before he was earning any money on YouTube to edit his videos. He makes over 10K a month now.
Yeah.
Because he saw, like, obviously, again, extreme example. I don't recommend everyone take that risk. He saw that he needed to focus hard on that on YouTube, and if he didn't, it wouldn't work. What he was doing wouldn't work. And so he did that. And that's the way you need to think. Like, you need to think, like, okay, so I'm doing these streams for 4 hours a day. I need to continue to leverage them. Where am I going to put that? What am I going to do with that? Is there something I can salvage here? How do I make it unique so it doesn't belong to other people? And it starts with just the music that you hear, the sounds that you hear, you know, the vocals, the mic, the whole setup. But you got to keep that in mind. Like, it's just the whole package.
Yeah. All right. I've learned a lot. Any other thoughts before Patreon questions from you guys? Anything we missed?
I have something to say to the viewers. Okay, listen, chat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull you down here. I'm gonna look right at you. Okay, here we go. All right, chat. I'm gonna cover Artosis's face with the chat. I'm gonna speak to you guys. I want you to hear me. Okay.
You watch. He's gonna play a song and get my stream.
Okay.
banned.
No. It's very important. Listen. Okay. The best thing you can do for the content creator. I'm not saying about me. Don't even follow me. Okay, just forget it. The best thing you can do for the content creators you follow is to follow all of their other social media platforms as well. Their Twitters, their YouTubes. Okay. If you have the funds, Patreon. If you don't. Right. It is extremely important that if anything were to happen, that you know where to find these people after the fact. Join their Discords. Keep up with them because they're content creators too now. Whether they like it or not, they're not just Twitch streamers anymore. If they haven't accepted it, they're in denial. Right? The best thing that you could do for them is to go out and follow their other stuff. Subscribe to their YouTubes. Okay? You know, read about their shit posting on Twitter. It's very important. Okay? And because as much as I love Twitch, man, this DMCA shit is a fight I don't think they understand, like, how bad it could be. Or they do, and they're willing to take the fight. And when you take a fight, anyone who's ever been in a fight knows you can lose. Right? If you're not just going to surrender and secede, there's a chance that you lose. And since that's the case, like the worst thing that could happen is a content creator does all their work on Twitch and they get DMCA'd. Imagine someone that you're watching, that you watch all the time, they get 3 DMCA strikes and it just doesn't come off. Imagine it just doesn't go away and they're just gone from Twitch. And all their like they lose like 3/4 of their revenue and that's it. They're done as a creator, wiped off the face of the earth. So the best thing that you could do for them is go out there and follow their other platforms as well. And for streamers, make sure you're on more than one. You shouldn't just be on Twitch. That should be true even if Twitch was golden. Never put all your eggs in one basket. But for the viewers, I really appreciate it. Okay, and the streamers, the content creators will as well.
Yeah.
Amen.
Can't disagree with that. All right. Anything you want to finish on, Nate, before we jump to Patreon?
It was a hell of a discussion. That's all I'm
It really
say.
was.
You know,
very, very enlightening. You guys got me really thinking, even though I like basically only stream StarCraft 1 and it feels safe and I haven't been
No, you're
DMCA.
good.
Now you have me scared a little bit.
You're good. As long as you don't sound like some other artist somewhere and then when you like yell really loud, it like sounds like a screamo band. You're fine.
there's a building that Terran has that when you click on it, it produces a sound that is in other popular media. Did you know that? Did you know that it is a non-zero percentage chance that something could flag that particular scream as even an incorrect scream?
It would make sense that the Terran players are the only ones that get DMCA.
I have a question though. If I go on YouTube and I record a YouTube video of a salt shaker shaking salt, can I get all of the Terran streamers banned?
Maybe.
You
can claim all their revenue.
I can DMCA myself. You think? I think we could do it.
And cause a feedback loop, destroy the universe. Sounds fun.
Perfect. then all the Terran streamers will DMCA my salt shaker video. Yeah, and then it'll just keep going around. Okay.
You guys are making me want to start DMCAing people as an entity on YouTube. All right.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
I'm never opening your
right.
content ever again, dude. That's it.
Well, thank you guys for enlightening us on that and letting everyone know about it. Definitely learned a lot more than I knew going in. I guess we'll jump over to the Patreon questions. I'm sure people have dropped some. So, guys, if you have any questions for these guys on what we just talked about or whatever else, go ahead, drop by patreon.com/ThePylonShow.